post relevant questions of maximum 25 words to our panelists in the chat window, mentioning your name, designation, and organization. Our panelists will answer up to 5 shortlisted questions at the end of our discussion. So it's time to introduce the webinar chair and panelists who are also our good friends from the global industries. Professor Dr. Vandana Naran, Dean NIFT, is the chair for this webinar on industry academic engagement for envisioning the new normal. Professor Naran is a very senior academician with over 35 years of experience and is associated with NIFT for over 25 years. She's been the campus director NIFT New Delhi for 6 years. And it's very pertinent to note that under her leadership, NIFT New Delhi campus was ranked 12th among the global fashion institutes by the COE magazine, and Business of Fashion rated us with 3 stars. Now let me introduce our panelists. Mr. K.S. Sanal Kumar, Chairman and Managing Director, Classic Fashion Apparel Industries Limited Company, Jordan, which started in 2003 with just 130 machines and 300 employees. And now it has 12 factory facilities, 7 satellite units, 16,000 machines, and 30,000 employees working as a team. That's huge. It produces 500,000 garments every working day, achieving an annual turnover of about $610 million in 2019. That contributed 30% of Jordan's total garment exports. Its value-adding ancillary units wash 75,000 garments by wet and dry processes, print on 200,000 to 250,000 garments, and embroider 100,000 garments in a single day. The group that Mr. Sanal Kumar heads includes globally spread companies in India, UAE, USA, Turkey, Taiwan, and many more, in various domains including apparel, builders and developers, tours and travels, textile mills, design studio, credit guarantee, technologies, and business solutions. Welcome to the webinar, sir. Our next panelist is Mr. Sarabjit Ghosh, the Executive Director Asia of CIEL Textile Limited and a member of the Board of Directors. CIEL Textile is a 400 million USD textile and apparel business with 20 manufacturing units present in multiple countries. He is also the Managing Director of Lagna Clothing, exporting premium shirts. Before this, Sarabjit worked with the Unilever Group and the Tatas. He's a mechanical engineer with an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Welcome, sir. The third panelist of this evening, Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, the Executive Director in Hamim Group, largest apparel manufacturer in Bangladesh. Mr. Mukherjee is in the apparel industry for the last 22 years and worked in various domains like apparel manufacturing, brands, and consulting managing projects, including setting up of manufacturing plants, improving quality standards in factory, skill development projects across India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Kazakhstan. He has the experience of working globally with various teams and projects like manufacturing excellence, cost optimization, and many more in countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, China, and US. And we are proud to say that Gautamji is also our NIFT alumni. Up next is Mr. Akesh Ranjan, another alumni, who brings about 20 years of global experience in textile and apparel industry across sourcing strategy, project and process management, digital transformation, and manufacturing operations. Mr. Akesh is working with H&M Hong Kong as business process manager for its global sourcing. Prior to joining H&M, Rakesh was working with KSA Technopack, where he consulted development bodies like UNDP and government organizations in textile and apparel industry linked socio-economic projects. He has also worked with some of the leading export houses in India and abroad in leadership roles. So welcome, Rajesh. The webinar chair will commence the session in which all our panelists will express their views on each of the questions posted in 90 seconds to them. And the questions will be asked in 4 sections, beginning with collaboration, innovation, sustainability, and excellence. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Raghu. On behalf of NIFT, I welcome all eminent panelists and viewers for the webinar. It's really surprising that even in these difficult COVID circumstances, we have such eminent people who have joined us from all across the world. I have Mr. Sanal Kumar from Jordan. I have Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, who's based in Dhaka. I have, but he's right now in Delhi. Mr. Sarabjit Ghosh in Bangalore, and Mr. Ranjan, who's in Hong Kong. I welcome all of them. NIFT has been in existence for over 32 years. We have surpassed all expectations with which this institute was started. Today, our alumni are part of this industry, and most of the, rather not most of the, over 70% of all managerial level posts are held by NIFT alumnus across the entire gamut of the industry. And to have the new relationship with the industry, a new curriculum was launched 2 years back. The first batch of master's program would be graduating this year, and we are waiting to see how the new curriculum is accepted in the industry. The new curriculum envisages a threefold relationship between industry and the institute. One is that the industry members, as usual, come to the institute and take part in taking classes for us. Our students go and work there. And the third and most important part is that part of the curriculum is now transacted in the industry as part of every subject in every semester. Students are taken to the industry and exposed on live situations. We also have classroom projects, which were always part of it. In these very difficult times of COVID, the relationship between NIFT and the industry have to be reworked on or rethought of. The critical to the new perspective would be the academia engagement with the professionals with clear understanding of the demands of the new industry. The initiative requires sustained engagement with various organizations, and today's panelists are people who understand what NIFT graduates are. They are either NIFT graduates or they have a huge team of NIFT graduates. As Raghu very lightly tells us that Mr. Sanil Kumar runs a NIFT campus outside India. He has NIFTians at every floor, every aspect. I met Mr. Sanil last year when he came to NIFT for placements, and he took 60 alumni from 60 graduates of that year. To start, without going into too much of depth, because Raghu has put in a very, very strict timelines for us. The first question is to Mr. Sanil Kumar. Will there be a fundamental shift in the nature, industry, academia collaboration post-COVID scenario? If yes, what key factors will redefine industry academic collaboration?
It is certainly an yes, there is no doubt about it. But at the same time, collaboration is a continuous process. That is what I believe in. The post-COVID, if you talk about it, there is change in business norms, change in business conducting norms. So accordingly, definitely the relationship or the collaboration between the industry and NIFT need to accommodate and adjust. But more so, if you talk about it, collaboration is basically the idea of sharing the knowledge, sharing the requirements between an industry and NIFT, and accommodating those requirements or the knowledge into the academics of NIFT. So I believe it is a continuous process where in post-COVID, in particular, if you talk about it, I mean, everything is getting virtual. So if you talk about the 3D is going to be very, very important in today's world, particularly in styling and patterns and technology. And in addition to that, we need to possibly look more into how we can get the quality at the needle point, and to see that in a demand supply disruption which is happening today, where the supplies are much more than demand, how we can offer the best product to the customer. That can be done only through a collaboration between the industry and an organization like NIFT. That's what I think.
I would now pass this question to Mr. Sarabjit Ghosh.
I think we are already experiencing the new normal. The example of today's webinar, where people from all over the world talking to people from all over the world, has made it very simple for industry to interact with academicians and students in NIFT. I'd like to give an example. My first job was with Ponds India Limited, which was part of Unilever, and we recently had alumni from Ponds who, over the last 20 years, who have got together and we have created a masterclass on manufacturing excellence, which we are going to deliver in the Madras Management Association, all through internet. So and we are getting people who are in manufacturing, who are in different industries, all getting together to be able to participate. So I really see a huge opportunity which is opening up by virtue of the virtualization of communication for improving collaboration. I personally got a chance to attend many interesting seminars on Industry 4.0 delivered by distinguished professors from NIFT. Thanks to the lockdown partly, and thanks to the fact that it was easy to do so. And this is where I think we are going to move as competition becomes more, disruption becomes more, the world becomes more difficult. The need to collaborate and the ease of collaboration will drive future behavior.
Absolutely. A webinar like this would have not been thought of pre-COVID scenario. We would have thought of several engagements, but we all are now taking out time, and I'm really thankful to all of you. Now, can I request Gautam to give his viewpoint?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for inviting me for this participate in today's webinar and sharing the platform with so many eminent panelists. We need to review this whole collaboration bit in a bigger perspective, especially from what are our touch points currently between the academic and the industry as of today, and how the future needs to be modified. Because as Professor Naran said, that there are classes and the classes are being taken into industries. They are seeing actual live sessions in the factory. That's fantastic, but what is it going to be focusing into? How it's going to be more customized? How it's going to be more streamlined? That's where the discussions need to happen going forward. It has to be more industry driven than the academic driven. When I say industry driven means industry has to drive what is their need. It's the demand. Industry is the demand. So industry has to demand what's the need. Because today when we talk to our students, and I'm sure a lot of them are hearing us today, they virtually make a mindset of either merchandising or operations, but operations can be break down into many streams like planning, like industrial engineering, by quality, compliances, so how can we groom individuals into a particular stream? Because everyone can become a master of everything, but can be an expert on one subject. So how can we create those subject matter experts? That's what is important when we talk about collaboration. We have to build the talent from a perspective what industry needs and cater it to the industry. My wishful thinking is that coming next 5 years, we should not have any placement cells, because our engagement with the industry is so solid at the initial stage when the students join the college, that within those 4 years of journey that they do in the college, they actually get themselves prepared for a particular type of industry. Maybe it's a brand, maybe it's a manufacturing industry, and the industry itself is going to shortlist and select them, because industry would love to have people who are experienced and who can cater to their need. So collaboration needs a bigger thought, and on a larger scale, it has to be much more upfront than where it is today. That's my point. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Gautam. I just want to tell you that each student now chooses a deepening specialization while at NIFT, and they choose right in college whether they are doing brand or apparel or industry. this thing, or artificial intelligence in the technology field. Okay, I won't take more time. They have all heard me. They need to hear from you. Mr. Akesh Ranjan, the question moves to you.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me here. Like my co-panelist said, that is a new world order, and fashion industry is not an exception. What I feel that the fundamental shift would be, in this industry by which will be more customer-centric, digital transformation, innovation, agility in business, and sustainability first would be the key factor, and that will be redefined the way we operate. I strongly feel in post COVID-19 scenario, there's a greater need of industry and academic collaboration, and the industry ecosystem will undergo massive transformation, and institutions like NEFT should be geared to groom students for the new ecosystem. So, like others said, that it's a new normal, and we should all gear to adopt the new normal. Over to you, ma'am.
So thank you, Rakesh. It's really interesting to hear the viewpoints of each one of you, which says that the collaboration needs to be driven by the industry, led by discussions of what industry wants. And yes, it's a new normal and we all have to accept it. Coming to the next section of the seminar, considering the inevitability to become efficient in all forms, which domains would require more innovations to add value to fashion business economies? How would industry and academia achieve this together? I this time start with Mr. Sarabjit Ghosh.
Yes, so as some of the speakers already mentioned, the disruption which we are going through is going to lead to a very drastic change in the supply chain. And there will be many innovations. Okay, for example, I can think of a huge digital transformation which will happen in our value chain, like it has happened in many other industries. As Mr. Kumar mentioned, not only 3D, the entire product development cycle will be virtualized. Okay, you probably will have to make a sample right at the very end. Imagine a situation where a customer can place an order and track it with transparency, the way we track an order for a Domino's pizza or for a Ola ride. Can it be made so simple? And imagine a situation where, while we all talk about Industry 4.0 or data analytics, I think many of the people in the industry who are from our generation really don't understand it as well. So I think definitely there is scope for fresh minds to come in. There is a huge opportunity of innovation across the value chain. And I think industry is more than ready to accept this because they are facing all kinds of challenges because of the disruption. So this is what I think is the future.
Gautam, your viewpoint.
I think post-COVID, what is important is we all need to be efficient and we all need to be cost effective. If these two parameters are my key parameters, then innovation has to be a 360-degree phenomena. It cannot be limited or restricted to a particular field. As Mr. Kumar said and Mr. Ghosh said, that innovations can be digitals, innovations can be, how to simplify a process. So it can vary across different streams of operations. So what is important is how can we bring academic students close to creating these innovations for the industry. Because industry works in a particular, if I talk about a manufacturing industry, the basic process flow, the basic structure across all manufacturing across the global remains the same. And the same applies for the brands. You know, the brand offices across, whether it's a license or a buying agent, their working structure is more or less the same. There must be some customization here and there. So when I say this, how can we bring innovation with the help of these students? Because these students are all from varied backgrounds. Some of them are engineers, and they come from their past experiences. How can they value add into the industry? How can they create new apps for the industry? How can they create, there is a laser measuring tape these days in the market. How they can connect that to a Wi-Fi router to an automatic updation of a measurement sheet. It's such a basic, simple thing. At the end of the line, how can all my measurements be recorded? These kind of innovations, a student can actually work closely with the factory need and can actually innovate. They can liaison with the industry and they can really value add. And from an industry perspective, these academics becomes very value adding proposition for us. And we would love to have them as an asset into our organization. So that's where I see the collaboration and the innovation. Innovation, it's a never-ending thing for me. You can innovate anywhere and anything. I even saw a magnetic coded sensor-driven cart roaming through the factory, taking material, transportation. Very simple thing made out of 25,000 bucks of Indian rupees and created by a simple engineer on the shop floor. So if these things can be created, I'm sure with students who have such an excellent background can do wonders in this. And that's what industry is looking forward to.
Thank you, Gautam. I think Mr. Ghosh mentioned Industry 4.0, and I can tell you with Gautam's ideas also, we are doing little steps in it. I think some of you are aware of the Shahi Chair, which has been set up at Delhi campus for research in apparel industry. And we are looking forward to such collaborations from any of the industry who's willing to do it. Now, Rakesh, your viewpoint, please.
I think of 3 domains which will require more innovation, and we means industry and IFT should come together to work in these areas. The first one, like others said, digital drive, and digital drive in the way we design, develop, source, produce, and sell our products. Digitalization, it's not would be, but it's right now itself, is inevitable in fashion business dynamics. And not only digitalization, but injection of artificial intelligence would be key in whatever we do and operate, and also would be inevitable. The second one would be basically the more focus on sustainability. I suggest to have more subjects to NIF students on sustainability. The need of R is circular and climate positive fashion industry, while being in a fair and equal partner across all entire value chain. We should also develop and acquire more knowledge of a new sustainable material, material which can be extracted from not conventional natural fiber, but a different natural fiber which was not done before. We should work on energy efficiency. We should also teach students about climate change, because these are things which companies would look forward to have their leaders to start working around those areas. It's already started and will continue. And also feel that new business model will emerge. Business model on demand, business model to resell and remanufacture would be the key in coming times. So these are the topics which I think that we should start. I'm sure you would be doing it, but I think we should start giving more focus in our institutions, and industry should come together to be a to be partner over there in that. And number 3, I think there's a need to train young minds in developing agility. Leadership agility would be the master competency to develop in future business scenario, which is expected to be new business scenario or future business scenario would expect it to be more complex and fast-paced than ever. Right now, I'm reading a book called Leadership Agility, written by Bill Joyner and Stephen Josephs. And I feel these kind of books should be part of curriculum in NIFT. It will help to groom future leaders in this industry. So my take would be basically on a 3 domain. This will drive more focus on sustainability and also leadership agility. And this goes for both of us, for us as well as industry.
Thank you, Rakesh. We are trying to do our bit for the same, but it's not the time for us to talk about it. We want to hear your viewpoints. Over to Mr. Sanil Kumar for your views on the question.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about innovation, I believe necessity is what drives innovation is. I mean, I'm in this industry for the last 30 years. I know how this industry was 30 years prior and today. I mean, all these developments happen only because I think is because of necessity. Because driving efficiency into our operations is the key for our very sustainability. And to drive efficiency, whatever you're doing today is obsolete for tomorrow. So the only tool which can help the industry to drive forward is a continuous innovation wherein the kids from NIFT with the absolute, I should say, virgin mind with a lot of inquisitiveness will be able to add so much of value into our industry. And that is what I'm experiencing from the team that I do have today. As what Jayaraman said, the thing is, 3 years back, we were not having possibly the real Niftians. We were having some merchants came out of NIFT, but the real thought of getting Niftians into every walk of our operations started only 2 years back. And we definitely could see the change they're bringing in, because we give the ideas and they come up with so much of, different levels of thought process into it. And that is helping a lot for us to conclude and, to possibly move forward in a different direction. So innovation for me is a continuous process, and definitely you cannot just define, as you said, today 4.0 system or the 4.0 which came in is what we are talking about it. But I think a year or two down the line, we have to again find something else to stay in business. So necessity, sustainability are the two key aspects which drive innovation, and I believe it's a continuous process. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, all your feedback on this and your views on this make me ask you the next question, which is totally leading from what you said. It says, what will be the impact of sustainability in the new normal, and what should be the action plan to create a sustained industry-academia partnership? And this time we start with Gautam.
I think when we talk about academic and industry sustainability, it has to be a two-way relationship, both from the industry perspective and also from the students who want to join the industry. I know there are a lot of aspirations and people want to grow, but there has to be a ladder that everyone has to stay. One just cannot jump the ladder and go up. So what I have seen in a due course of my experience with the industry, that especially from a NIFT graduate, and I'm not trying, I might sound critical, but please pardon me for that. But we have this tendency of hopping and jumping jobs quite frequently with the perspective of gaining more experience and having a better package. My suggestion to all the students, and this is completely my personal suggestion, the package is just a number. Once you start growing with the industry and start contributing into the industry, you won't realize when your packages are going to be into double figures or 5 figures. So what's important is how can you value add into the whole process chain of a manufacturing or a brand office? How can you make yourself ready for the industry? That's where sustainability will become a big question. I speak to a lot of manufacturers who say that, we prefer not to move towards the placements of NIFT because we find that the students tend to leave quickly. Uh, these kind of, thoughts should not come into minds of any recruiter who recruits our students from our institute. Because when they are recruiting us, they should recruit us as assets, not liabilities. So they should consider us ready for the industry, and from day one we are there to contribute and value add into the process. If this happens, and I'm sure we are making a lot of steps, and I know academic is working rigorously towards this to make it more industry oriented. I foresee that very soon we will able to have this more sustained relationship between the student and the industry, so that industry feels that when I'm taking a talent from the academic, the NIFT academic, I'm creating an asset into my organization, and that's where the focus should be. And for the students, I want to say, we understand you have been going through this the whole 4 years of your career, and you are quite aspiring to grow. Growth will happen. Growth is inevitable, but growth can only happen when you are sustained into an organization, delivering your targets and being a value addition or editor into an organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam. Over to Rakesh.
I totally second to what Gautam said. Generally, you see that when academic institutions depend on industry for various needs, like internship and placements. I'll be very happy to see how industry will develop greater dependency on academic institutions, especially for innovation and research. A premier issues like NEFT has always ability and availability of resources. I mean, you have highly experienced and knowledgeable faculties and many bright students with a fresh mind for research and work on innovation. And I think nowadays students are much more smarter than what we were at that point of time. Um, I'll suggest greater partnership, leveraging institutional strengths. Sessions like this should continue. Um, from our side, from industry perspective, we should keep on feeding you need of the hour in short and long-term perspective for academic institutions to ensure future fit students. I think sustainability, I mean, our partnership would sustain if we have a win-win situation for both of us. As I said, that we should leverage to each other's strength. We should depend on you for research and various innovations. At the same time, like of course, like we would look forward to have graduates passing out from NEFT to work with us in the future. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Rakesh. Can I request Mr. Sanil Kumar to share his viewpoint?
Yeah, ma'am. I mean, as of now, as far as Classic is concerned, we are into this journey with NIFT students only 2 years. So the change or, the sustainability aspect so far, I did not experience anything of the kind that, they shop in and shop out. But I believe, I think it's a two-way traffic. I mean, an organization should be able to hold its employees or its key employees. I mean, as long as we can meet the aspirational requirements of the employees and the employer. I mean, if there is a gap, that is why possibly you'll see a lot of turnover. That is what I believe in. I mean, in this industry for 30 years, and most of my key people, of course, some of them are from NIFT and some of them are not, but they're all with me for ages, for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And I believe that is because of the possibly human behavioral approach that we bring into managing things, and wherein we include every one of them as part of our family. If that kind of a human behavioral approach can be there, to a major extent. I'm not saying that aspirational people won't, won't find routes to find ways to get out of an organization. But if those aspirations can be met within the organization, to a major extent, you should be able to hold the people. That is what I believe in. So I agree with what Gautam said. At the same time, I think it is a two-way traffic. If people are going for a frequent change, possibly we need to look at ourselves as anything wrong with our organization, our company. I'm not talking about industry as a whole. I'm talking about a particular establishment. Yes, in general, it is beneficial for the NIFT graduates as well as industry if they can have a longer partnership. That is where both will benefit in terms of growing their aspirations, and as well to drive the growth personally as well as industry wise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Mr. Ghosh, your viewpoint, please.
You are muted. Ghosh, you need to unmute.
Yeah.
Good.
So basically, I think, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah. So, I mean, NIFT is a very, very well-established brand. And as Professor Narang said, there's a huge number of alumni who dominate the industry today. So the relationship is already there, and I don't think it's so much about sustaining the relationship as is mutually nurturing the relationship. And, I can only give some suggestions to improve that relationship. When I visit NIFT, I sometimes feel that there should be more professionals, especially NIFT alumni, on governing bodies. I often find that there are a lot of people who are sort of appointed by the government of India, obviously because it's connected, but actually people who are in the industry in senior positions who understand, if they are able to actually interact, and interaction has become much more easy now because of these webinars and seminars. I think just getting people in the industry to participate in the activities of NIFT fivefold as compared to what it is there will make the bond much stronger and therefore more sustainable.
Thank you, Gautam. I have noted everyone's, Gautam, Mr. Ghosh, Akesh, as well as Mr. Sanil Kumar. I have noted all the views you have shared. My next section of today's webinar is, with so many uncertainties and looming challenges, how should industry and academia focus on achieving excellence? What are the specific domains of excellence? And this time I start with Rakesh to give his view.
I mean, there is an uncertainty, but then with uncertainty, there's always an opportunity. And those who would read the change in the world order faster and move accelerated will attain excellence. Of course, in the process, there could be failures, and it's okay to fail, but then it'll be good to fail fast. Learning from the failure and move again faster would be the mantra. From industry perspective, customer centricity would be in focus. Digital escalation in the entire value chain. As I said, sustainability first in the mind will facilitate the way forward to tackle challenges. Together, industry and academic institutions, they should also take inspirations from other industry. Like Mr. Ghosh, he's coming from Unilever. So of course, there would be a lot of best practices which they would have adopted during transformation, can be inspired from. We should also look into best practices that how other industries, they transform themselves successfully when things were not going good. And apart from collaborating with industry, I would suggest for NIFT, it will be equally important to join hands with the leading institutions in the world. It will complement and supplement in various research and various innovations. For example, NIFT will bring its expertise over there in textile and apparel domain and fashion domain, where other industry, they have other institutions, they have expertise in technology and other areas. So it would be a good to have a win-win proposition, not basically a kind of collaboration with only industry, but also with other academic institutions. To sum it up, we should inculcate a culture where we groom an agile mindset to be future fit, and this will facilitate excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh. Very nice of you to share this viewpoint. Mr. Sanil Kumar, your views, please.
Yeah, I believe today's world is a perfect equation to see the excellence can play a role in one's business or one's life or whatever it is. I firmly believe that when going gets tough, tough gets going, and that is possible only if we can bring the excellence in what you do. As Mr. Ranjan said, though there are challenges, there is no doubt that there are absolute challenges, but every challenge comes with an opportunity too. So finding that opportunity and making the best use of is not that easy, but that's always available. And as long as you can do that, you definitely excel in whatever you do. And whosoever possibly able to come out of this COVID situation and stay strong in business are the people who are definitely practicing this excellence in whatever they do on the business, work, family, or life front. That's what I believe in. So excellence is mandatory. It's a need of the hour, and everybody should. Possibly, if they give their 100%, most of the times you should be able to you should be able to come out with the best things that you can do. That's what I believe in. Thank you, ma'am.
To Ghosh, your viewpoint, please.
Yeah, so my viewpoint is slightly different. I feel that excellence has got nothing to do with whether the things are going bad or going good. It's a state of mind. It's somebody having passion for achieving something. I see NIFT as a center of excellence. Okay, I see it when I interact with the students, and when I interact with the faculty. Okay, when I visit, and it's like a factory. You can't say that, okay, if I'm making for a high-end customer, I will make high quality, and if there is another customer who sells cheaper in the market, I will lower the quality. You set a standard, and whether the chips are down or things are good, you maintain. Your flag is always flying high. And that is what we look up to NIFT to do, as it has always done in the past.
Thank you for your kind words. Over to you, Gautam.
Especially in today's scenario where we are standing, I think if I see from a brand perspective, brands are trying to consolidate their supply chain. They're trying to consolidate their vendor base. They're trying to streamline and be more efficient, take out all the redundant, inefficient suppliers, both from a raw material side or from a manufacturing side, from their side. Whereas a manufacturer is basically trying to be more efficient, is trying to be more cost effective, trying to be making its supply chain more healthy and more, again, more consolidated. So having said that, everyone is trying to take some steps, and how do we structure these into so-called excellence? Because every small step taken towards some kind of an improvement or some kind of an upgradation is a part of excellence. Today we talk about manufacturing excellence. Today we talk about brand excellence. We talk about raw material excellence. Raw material plays a very important role. How is the integration being done with our supply chain? How strong and how healthy it is? How can the academic start helping us to bring the bridge between the supply chain, Where are my gaps in the supply chain? How can that be been looped in? So there are multiple areas that we can work on, and the scope for excellence is, as the eminent panelist have said, that there's very wide. There is a lot of opportunities that we can always look through as partners between industry and academic, because I know there are a lot of professors in NIFT who are engaged with us to do live projects, and that helps, and that gives us a big platform to have these thoughts and brainstorming sessions more often, where we can create and elevate our processes in a much better form.
Thank you, Gautam. It was a pleasure hearing all of you talk about NIFT in such terms, that this is a center of excellence, and we have always believed that we have to be the leader. And not only we are the thought leaders for the industry, rather when we set up the institute in 1986, the garment industry was in its nascent stage. And today, from one institute, one course in 1986, today we have 17 campuses, 10 courses, including a PhD program, and NIFT has come a long, long way. It has been alumni members like you. I can't even count the number of alumni members which are there, who are coming back to the institute and contributing. And it is always a pleasure to have an interaction with you. I have written down your points. I'm definitely going to work on some of them which we have not started. We do have some members on the board, but they are very, very few, as you rightly said. We need to have more engagement at that higher level also. I would take this opportunity to request each one of you to come and give classroom projects. Now, with the new normal of online classrooms, online this thing, it is not going to be that someone has to travel to come and do an online project, but it can be done across 17 campuses with a single call, and we can address everyone together. Today we have a huge gathering of people. I cannot even see because I'm live with you people, so I've not seen how many people have joined. But there are a lot of questions which I can see. So I'm going to give the mic to Raghu to start taking the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I mean, it was really enthralling that all of you have structurally put down your views on these 4 key areas of discussion. The point is, I had opened multiple channels for questions. So some of them are coming in my email. Some of them are coming through the Q&A window, and some through the chat. But over the period of time of discussion, I just grouped them so that I can put the question structurally. And there are a few which are directed to a particular panelist, and some are general. So the first question that I'm going to, of the viewers, is very general. Any of the panelists can take this. It's from Vaishnavi Menon, who's a sampling merchandiser in Must Garments, Jordan. She asks, to what extent the current pandemic has affected the fashion industry? What does the future hold for the garment industry post the pandemic, considering that many retailers shutting down their businesses? So it's a kind of an indirect question, but directly aimed at manufacturers, saying that when the retail business is going low, what are we supposed to, how are we going to plan post pandemic? So I think we have Rakesh in the retail side, and the other section of the people in the manufacturing side. So we have the best people to explain what is going to happen when retailers are shutting down. Over to you. Any one of you.
I think post COVID-19 situation, I am very optimistic. Although I understand that right now is a challenging situation where a lot of markets where our shops were closed, and like us, a lot of other retailers' shops were closed. But then subsequently we will come over. This will pass and things will back to track, and we are all gearing for that. So it's a temporary, I would say, temporary challenge. But then subsequently, all retailers will come back, and then you will see that there will be a lot of activities happening in this industry.
Okay. That's great. Yes, Sanalji, you had something to say about this. No, you're muted. I think you're muted.
You're right.
Yeah.
I partly agree with what Ranjan said for a reason. Yes, the retailers are going to be back, but I don't think that all of them. There will be a definite correction which is going to happen between demand and supply. And that correction, according to me, is needed for a reason. There are a lot of, I mean, with all respect to the people who are in the business, there are a lot of people in the business which they're doing, looking at the business as a very, very short term. And such businesses, I don't think that they're going to survive. But a consolidation is definitely going to happen in the whole supply chain, where, and eventually, as Ranjan said, there will be a demand-supply balancing. It's a question of time. But whether the entire business is going to be back the way it is, I doubt. But the real players and the people who are committed and do have a long-term plan and perspective for this business are definitely going to survive. We are going through a very disturbed situations, but that is temporary, and maybe another 6, 9, 12 months, that's what I can see, and thereby the balancing will happen.
Okay, so we see the light at the tunnel is as long as the next financial year, and we'll definitely see some light there.
I think so.
Okay, that's great. That's really positive. So the next question, again, I have grouped some questions because few of my faculty colleagues and also some on the chat box have asked a similar kind of question, that given the current scenario where everything is going digital, is it possible to have online internships and online research works and also let's say classroom projects? So to engage students right from, as Gautamji said, that industry, we should start right from the beginning, the engagement, and to understand the industry needs to create industry-ready professionals. So how open are industries to come up with online internships, online classroom projects, online research works, and leading to online innovation?
I think in today's scenario, it is a new normal to change, and change is the keyword. So the industry also has to change its way of working. So these virtual classes, the virtual engagement needs to be increased in many areas, and I'm sure this is going to benefit both the industry and the student if it's done in a more focused way. So I'm completely open, and I think many of our panelists will be open that yes, going forward, virtual internships, virtual project work, virtual Kaizen projects can happen between the students of NIFT and the industry, which can benefit both of them.
That's great. Gosar, you are very renowned among your organization is renowned among Niftians. You have a bandwagon. You take bandwagon of Niftians for internships. So I think they would love to. I think this question was indirectly aimed at you, that whether CIEL.
No, actually, what I'm missing.
Internships.
Yeah. No, what I am personally missing is, the physical aspect of working together. Both in the office or with customers, or with colleagues, or even with interns. Okay, so I think in manufacturing, a lot of things happen in the shop floor. Okay, so there is only that much you can do, virtually, and I often feel I'm doing a lot of work virtually when I'm at home, but when I go to office, I realize the difference. So yes, virtually having internships will happen. But I pray that we soon come back to a situation where we can travel and, actually physically do what we were doing. Also, so that, we get the best of both worlds.
That's really great.
Can I come in? Oh, sorry, please go ahead.
No, please, Ranjan, please.
Okay.
No, I just want to watch on what Ghosh said. Okay. Definitely, these activities, whether it's internship or engagement, is all happening on the shop floor. I don't think that this can be replicated on a virtual media. So there are limitations. I do agree with what Gautam said, but I think the most of it happens on the floor, and we wish the people can join soon, and we'll be able to engage physically than virtually. Yeah, Mr. Ranjan, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Like you said, as far as the soft floor is concerned, of course, interns should be there on the floor. When we talk about internship, it's all about learning as well, right? So at the same time, you're on the floor, you learn more. But having said that, it's an interesting thought that having a virtual internship. Actually, we did it. In fact, we hired 4 interns from NIFT Bangalore about 2 years back. It was not it was not a COVID situation. But we gave a kind of project where we said that, they used to take almost about 2 hours to come from their hostel to our office in Bangalore. I know because I was involved. Then we asked them not to come on a daily basis. Why to spend 4 hours on road? Rather, they can work from their hostel. They can come to our office once in a week for any discussion that we may have. And these students did very well. Also, I can give you an example right now. Since most of us, we are working from home, we have hired 3 interns on our AI project here in Hong Kong. And, in Hong Kong, we have been advised by government to stay at home. So probably, we meet once in a while in office, but then it's working fine. The projects, what we have given them, we have a daily follow-up and they are delivering. So I think this is a new norm. Apart from manufacturing, there are a lot of topics on which there could be virtual internship.
Fantastic. So this leads to another question which is related now. I just picked it in continuation. This is from Ankur Makija, who's also a colleague at NIFT. He says, now if this is the case, there is a split in there is a clear divide that we say in shop floor it's difficult, but otherwise, other than shop floor in the entire supply chain, it would be possible. Then Gautamji, this question is directly to you, because we've been discussing about that. I do not know since how long. What will be the new skill sets? Now we were talking about new skill sets under normal conditions. Now this is the new normal. So you have to give me the skill sets that Niftians should develop to address the new normal. What would the industry expect from the Niftians, from the NIFT grads?
I think what is important, or I think what is the industry expecting them is what Mr. Ranjan just said, that artificial intelligence is very important.
Okay.
That needs to be a focus area where every individual needs to excel. And when I talk about doing virtual engagements, there can be ears and hands on the shop floor who can be your extended ears and hands on the shop floor while you do your project setting at some corner in some part of the world. And I have seen, and one of the students have done a project where the entire project was carried over. There were a lot of video recordings. There were a lot of interviews. There were a lot of talk sessions that happened on the shop floor that became the part of the project when finally the student submitted his internship project. So it's a new way of thinking, and it all depends how we have to think, because if we were in the lockdown, we were forced to stay indoors. So if tomorrow something happens and we are forced to stay where we are today, and we still have to work, we still have to deliver to our customers, we have to innovate. We have to find ways. So I think it's a matter of how we start thinking. And so for the students, I think what is more important is that they have to demonstrate they cannot be rigid from their mind, from their expertise. They have to find ways to navigate through, whether it is, they will have obstacles everywhere. And when you work on a shop floor, there are hundreds of obstacles that you get. So how do you navigate? How efficient and how aggressively you navigate through, and how flexible are you to bend? Because there will be situations where you have to compromise, you have to negotiate, but your idea has to move forward.
Okay, so directly the students should be working on the future technology trends to cope up with this new normal situation. That's really great. Ma'am, with the permission of the chair, there are 2 questions if we have time. One is generic on sustainability, and the one is really directed to you, the chair of the webinar. Sure. Okay. So we'll give the question to the chair at the last. But before that, there is one common question to all the panelists. Again, it comes from Shweta Iyer. What role will sustainability carry in the next 5 years? So she's literally want to know the future of sustainability. in terms of innovation and research, which companies desire and expect. So what does the company expect on the 5-year plan for sustainability? Any of the panelists, please.
Yeah, basically driving. Okay, Mr. Ghosh, please.
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. When you talk about sustainability, I mean, for 5 years or any time, is all connected to efficiency. So how we can be more efficient in our operations, as well how well we can get a product out at the needle point. So these are the two things which, I mean, I believe as an industry, we need to focus upon, or anybody need to focus upon. So as long as we can find ways and means of driving these efficiency factors, when I talk about efficiency factors, it starts from the order placement, it starts from procurement, it starts from using the lines for productions. I mean, every aspect of our business where we need to drive the efficiency, and that is what it is. So as long as we can find ways and means to drive that, I mean, we definitely can. We can always be sustainable, whether it is a 3 years plan or 5 years plan or a long-term plan is definitely possible. But this should be the core mantra of running an operation, a factory or whatever it is. So basically, how we can drive efficiency on an everyday basis, and whatever the tool that you use it today is not going to be the tool for tomorrow. And this needs to be redefined, reinvented, and we have to move forward. And that is the way we can have 5 year sustainability or even beyond. That's what I think.
Yes, go sir.
Yeah, so sorry, I understood it slightly differently. I mean, sustainability as in climate change is what I understood. How important is that is what I'm going to answer to. So at least in our group, sustainability is absolutely on top of the agenda, and it is accepted that the textile value chain is very polluting, very wasteful, creating a lot of problems for the planet, and right from retailers like brands like H&M to the manufacturers, we are all fundamentally committed to changing that. So I think next 5 years will certainly see huge changes in making a more sustainable planet from all the participants.
Probably an indication on how the student, in which areas the students should gear themselves up so that they.
Yeah, it's a very important area. It's a very important area.
Okay, so they have a lot of scope. So they should start focusing. Already they are doing it. I think they should intensively focus now. So, ma'am, the last question is to the chair, and it comes from Sandeep Raut. It says, I wish to understand if NIFT is also collaborating with fabric industry. I think this question comes at the background of the entire supply chain being disrupted in terms of the fabric, fabric sourcing. And he says that there is no institution like NIFT which is helping them with a bright and talented young mind to collaborating with efforts to bring in changes in fabric.
I think Sandeep does not know what NIFT does, because NIFT is in touch with manufacturers. Today's seminar is focused on one area, that was the industry NIFT collaboration and how we are going to take forward. I think you have planned this thing where we are going to have textile, this thing.
Yes, that is
manufacturers also. Yes, Sandeep, we are definitely collaborating, and we not only do it with our classrooms. When Liva fabric was launched, they came to NIFT, and we did the first project with them on how Liva would be totally changing the way things are going on, and how the fabric can be adapted to various parts. And it's not, I just thought of one name which came to me. We work with several manufacturers, right from craft sector to the biggest industry, right from Eco Tusser to Raymond's, right from a fabric manufacturer in Surat to Madura Garments. I don't know what to say, because everywhere we have a collaboration and we have different departments. Today, our focus was more on technology and marketing. Today was not really the design kind of a thing. So when we take up in the next, one of the seminars in the coming series, you will see our interventions and interjections in both design and textiles. I would like to share one more thing with the attendees today, which we may not have done a huge publicity. When IKEA decided to open a store in India in 2015, they came to NIFT and said they would like a collection designed by NIFTians. They chose 20 people from various departments of NIFT, not necessarily accessory designers or a textile or a fashion designer. They chose 5 or 6 people per department. They had a 4-day workshop or 5-day workshop where 2,000 prints and designs were developed. They invited us to IKEA in Sweden in 2016, and it was launched to the world as a Swartan collection, which, being an Indian, I thought it meant something to do with India, Swartan. But it actually is a Swedish word for black and white. And this collection was sold off in minutes from their stores. Unfortunately, we in India didn't see it because IKEA just opened one store in Hyderabad and they have not been able to open anywhere else. But just wanted to show you that, rather to Sandeep, who asked this question, whether we are helping the manufacturers. Not only at that level, we also have design research centers where we hold seminars for trends and forecasts for manufacturers, both from the handloom sector, power loom sector, and the textile mills.
Thank you, ma'am.
One more
It
thing,
was great.
people who don't know, but being an academician and hearing all the thoughts which everyone has shared, though I'm a fashion design faculty, but being in NIFT for more than 25 years, I have inculcated all these areas into my domain area. And it's really been a pleasure to talk to all of you. And over to Raghu to wrap up the evening.
It was really nice. So on behalf of the NIFT fraternity, our heartfelt thanks to Sanalji, Sarabjitji, Gautamji, and Rakeshji, and also the chair for today's webinar, Professor Dr. Vandana Naran, Dean, for this wonderful and a meaningful session discussion. I wish it really kindled the mind of all the attendants, especially the students who are in the viewers list, to come up with a lot of questions. And thanks to all viewers for the overwhelming response in making it to the webinar today. And special mention to the Industry and Alumni Affairs team, which worked so hard within a short notice to make this event very successful. We will be meeting again on the 13th of September to hear distinct panelists expressing their views and opinions on sustainability in fashion. Until then, Shubhratri.
I just would like to add one more thing. We need to thank our web team, the IT team, which made it.
Sorry, my special mention to the IT team, the webmaster, for organizing this seamlessly with no technical glitches, and my apologies for leaving it out, but sincere thanks to them. So, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.